Olympia, it is.
Bro. I
Well,
even sent you a video this morning. That's how hyped I was. What a year, man.
man like Samson, man like Samson.
And we thought
Uh,
this year was going to be meh, not that excited. I thought it was interesting.
Honestly, this is the first year because where you've had last couple of years, you've had like three top competitors in the open, Derek, Hadi, Samson, and it's been hard to kind of like separate the three. And I think what's happened over the last these 3 years now, we've had a few comparisons where people, judges are probably getting clearer on which one stands out to them a little bit more. Now, I've got my opinions, keyword being opinions, on this year's Olympia, um, and what's happened and who should have won and how it's kind of played out. But I can see also into the future a little bit and be like, oh, okay, well, it's still not, we're still not in that situation, the Phil situation or the Jay situation or the Ronnie situation where we're going to see multiple back-to-back wins with a champion in that sort of open class. But yeah, obviously, big congratulations to Samson for winning it this year. What did you make of that top three?
I thought this was a major upset. Honestly, if it given it to Derek again, I wouldn't have minded. I wouldn't have been bothered by that. I'm like, well, he was the champ last year. And there's this whole notion that, oh, to dethrone the champ has to be either really off or the person coming in has to be like head and above, like literally head and shoulders above the champ to win it. There's always that feeling of, oh, the champ has to be dethroned. Someone else has to be that good. But I didn't feel like that happened this year. Like Derek was really about the same as he was last year, but maybe a little bit better. So that's why I was surprised. Samson was also better, but was he that much better? I don't know. Again, I wasn't there in person. There's also that notion of, oh, when you're watching the live stream, like it's not the same as being there in person. Obviously, the judges can see it right there. So clearly, Samson brought something that the judges really liked. And is this to say they're heading in a different direction? I mean, we were saying that about Sean Roden when he won, and everyone was saying, "Oh, that's it. This is a new era, Sean Roden." Unfortunately, well, passed away. And then we had Big Ramy, and that was a whole other thing. Everyone thought that's it, Big Ramy era. So it just looks like on any given day, if a bodybuilder comes off, a little bit not as sharp as could have been, anyone can take it.
I think yeah,
And
that's pretty much my observation. In both all the examples that you gave there, all of them come down to conditioning, and with so that's really interesting that I say that because there was one competitor who was in the open top three that was super on conditioning wise, but and so this is a big commentary on him more than anybody else, I would say, which is Hadi, and Hadi was on, but Samson and Derek have arguably a more fuller, more aesthetic physique than Hadi does. And so even though Hadi was on, his conditioning wasn't enough to push Samson out. It was enough to push Derek out. And again, I wasn't there in person, you weren't there in person. Most of us watching it weren't really there in person. And I think there was a lot of commentary on the live stream, not and the lighting and everything, and the pictures and the footage that we've all seen on social media not being that great. That's kind of what people were talking about with Samson's press conference showing that like in person it looked very different from the videos and the pictures that we saw, and which is why we all kind of were writing him off. And then it's kind of like, oh no, actually he is on. But if you were in person, you would have seen he was actually leaner than what we were seeing in the videos and the pictures, and so that's fair enough. But yeah, Roden came top condition, like beyond top condition to beat Phil. Ramy that 1 year where he like finally came in his best condition, won his thing. Um, I don't think, and I was saying this before, this is Samson's top condition. And my whole thing was like he gets even better than this. So I wasn't anticipating that they'd give it to him this year. But when we looked at Derek in prejudging, honestly, I didn't think Derek was in like his best condition either. And Derek isn't a Phil Heath, so he needs everything like put together to really like edge the other two, and he didn't quite have it. Samson is a hard bodybuilder to beat because his whole physique just flows in a way that really makes him stand out. And I still remember seeing him as an amateur, and just like if you when you see him in person, and I saw him as an amateur, mind you, like you can't help but look like he takes all of your attention straight away. So for me, it was a case of if Samson's like fully Rodin level dialed in, it's like game over. Neither Derek nor Hadi can beat this guy. But because he, from what I could see from the footage, he wasn't on that level. I wasn't really expecting him to win, but he did. So congratulations to him. Still think Derek can beat this version of Samson if Derek was on. But now what I think is going to happen is we're going to see Samson come that final form, fully conditioned version. And yeah, if he does that, then even Derek on isn't going to be able to push Samson. And I think it was a very clear message to Hadi that he's a top three bodybuilder for sure, but can I see him winning the Olympia again? Mm, could end up being like an Arnold Classic guy. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's like still a big accomplishment to win an Arnold Classic, right? Uh, but yeah, that was, I think that's like the with the top three open, not too much chatter around like, outside of the top three. Everyone I think maybe was expecting to see a bit more from Andrew Jatt. What did you think of him?
Yeah, I had high expectations personally. Just the way he came in Texas, I thought if he shows up like this again, or even a little bit tighter, because I feel like with a lot of these guys, that's always the question: can they come in condition? I feel like if he came in a little bit more condition, could have gone up one or two spots. Maybe not top three, but yeah, what did he get? Fifth? I think he got fifth. I can't
You know
remember.
what? Like it's all literally just happened.
Yeah, everyone's looking at
Um,
top three, and it's like, okay, I'll have a look at the proper rankings later. But and there's also looking at his posing, right? And I saw a comment online, someone saying, "Oh, he's got no hamstrings." And from my understanding, it's not that he's got no hamstrings; it's just the way that he poses. He doesn't sit into it, so you can't quite see it hanging like you would see in a lot of other bodybuilders. So the muscle is there, but if you can't present it in a way that makes you look like, okay, yeah, then yeah, I feel like that's something that he needs to work on the posing.
he
But
reminds me of your like every sort of like typical like hench gym guy. Yeah. There's not
yeah, I feel like he kind of
he
just fell into bodybuilding because
he
he's
just
just
fell
that good.
into bodybuilding. He's not really into it right now. It's just he was good. He saw the opportunity. People encouraged him. He's kind of going for it. And but what I always knew about like from having prepped people, and you get these like genetically gifted gym guys that they're not really into the bodybuilding thing. They're just exploring it because it might be an opportunity for them and people have gassed them up in the gym. They always never really like fully connect with the posing side of things.
Mm,
And like they're never super comfortable with like, obviously displaying themselves. They're just used to being big man in the gym. They enjoy the pump and all the rest of it. But that sort of presentation and style needed to like be a on stage bodybuilder, they don't always connect with that straight away, and I think that takes a little bit more time. And that's the kind of impression I kind of get from Andrew Jack, where he's just like, yeah, like I'm here, we'll just see what happens. And that's that, like these guys are telling me what to do and I'm just doing it. And I think this year's experience is going to maybe like switch him a little bit into, all right, you know what? I could have done a lot better there.
mm.
Now I want it. and now I'm going to put more into the presentation. Now I want to see myself as more of a bodybuilder. I don't know him personally and never spoken to the guy. This is all complete speculation. Um, so I could be like really just like completely wrong here, but that's the general impression that I kind of get. And yeah, he's definitely somebody in the future that easily breaks into that top three. Uh, Potential future Mr. Olympia. Yeah, I think so. I don't.
That's a tough one.
I wouldn't put my name on it. Like I don't know for sure, 100%. But has he got the potential to do it? Yes, and I think that's why everyone is paying attention to him because it's quite an exciting physique. Who else did we have in the in the lineup? There was a guy.
We had Martin Fitzwater,
That's right.
and he
That's
took
right.
fourth.
And it was just like really good, like a really good bodybuilder.
Yeah, like all
Really
around.
all around, really good bodybuilder. He just like he came. If the top three guys had kind of come how he came, it would have been like if Derek and Samson had turned up like how he turned up, like everything just dialed in, nailed.
Mm,
Um, yeah, it would have been good. I don't know much about him, so I don't know if what we're seeing is like his max final form,
mm,
or if he's got room to like develop more of that. This is like, but honestly, it's the first time I'm kind of even seeing the guy. I was just like, well, okay, this guy looks good. So, if there is room for him to evolve, then another dangerous one for the future. Because yeah, he was very pleasantly balanced all around.
mm,
That's what I would say. It's a bit. I thought it's a bit sad to like not see, Curry and Bonac and some of these guys that we used to see over the last years up there because like when Dexter was coming to an end, he was still placing pretty high and he was still like a top physique, and so it was like he went out in a really good way. But when you start to watch some of these guys, like they're not really winning shows anymore and they're kind of fading and they still look good, but they're not really in contention anymore and they're not being talked about. It's not super fun to watch that.
mm.
I mean, what did you think of those guys this year?
I think you could tell with Bonac that he knew, okay, I'm not in the conversation for the top spots. I'm okay with that. I'll just come and show up and be my best and see where I land. You can kind of see like this might be his last year. Maybe he'll do one more, but I think he'll call it a day quite soon because his body's not responding the way he wants it to. And when he did the Dubai show, I think just from a competitive perspective, like you want to be the top guy. And if you know you can't be the top guy at a local show, at Olympia, how are you going to be the top guy? You can't. You can't even beat the guys at a local show. Not a local show.
No,
We know
what was his
like
highest placing was third, I think.
yeah. Or was he even second? Did he never come second? I think you're right.
No,
I think he came top three.
I think it's yeah, and that was like the peak of it for him.
Yeah. But I found that for me, that's look, top three in the world. Huge.
I still remember like, his debut. I still remember him like, when you see somebody on their debut and then they just like you're like, wait, who's that guy?
Just
And
that
then
bubbliness, like the
yeah,
round
yeah,
muscle
yeah, yeah.
bellies. It
He
just
was
looks
he
crazy.
he
Like
looked
has
great,
that pop.
man. And that's why kind of like when you've watched them from that sort of that more beginning phase to where they're kind of nearing the end, you're almost just like, oh, okay, that potential, that excitement about the bodybuilder and everything. And you're like, oh, we've seen it now. And that was what we saw and that's what they became and great. And then you're kind of on to the next one. I suppose speaking on to the next one, Nick Walker.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.